We're going to start right out with our first guest. And our first guests are, we have two guests, Carol Hesselink and Kathie Greenwold. And they are fiber artists. I'm apologizing because I have a little bit of a rough throat here, and so things aren't coming out quite as well as they should. But anyway, tell us about your art, because you've got great work behind us, and I'm amazed. I am amazed by both of these.
My piece that's behind us is the large quilt. It's called Times Square, and it represents the neon lights in Times Square at night. And then the person who quilted it, who is Mandy Lines from Saratoga, made the searchlight kind of quilting design.
Okay, yeah.
So it really does evoke that feeling of Times Square.
It does.
And it is one of the designs that's in my book, Amish Shadows, Light Reflected, that I co-authored with Lynn Macron, who is another wonderful fiber artist and quilter. And it uses the traditional Amish Shadows block, which is one of those old patterns.
Years and years, yeah.
Right. But we have 10 new settings like this one that take that block and put it kind of on its head and brings it into the 21st century.
This is such a fabulous art. Now, do you teach this?
I do.
You do. So if somebody wanted to do a special piece, I mean, do they have to be well, you know?
No, and that was one of
with the fingers, you know.
one of the reasons we chose this block, because it is a beginner's block.
Oh, okay.
And once you master the techniques, then it's not difficult to put something like this together.
It's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
Would you lay that on the bed,
yes,
or would you put it on the wall?
No, that is a bed quilt.
That is a bed quilt.
It was intended to be.
But you know, to me, that would be a great design for a wall.
It would, and many of the designs in the book are smaller. So you could do a design that's a wall quilt or a table topper.
It's really wonderful. And we're going to find out about your work, which is over here. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I've been sewing, seems like all of my life. My mother let me sew and made all my clothes and my kids' clothes. But then somehow fabric talks to me. And then
I've heard that from designers that design clothing.
Well, my mother taught me, you know, some things, but I went on from there, and we spent a time in Brooklyn and would go into Manhattan, and I saw a simple fabric landscape. And from that, back in the 70s, I took calicos and denims and put them together and made what I called Carol's Calico Country. And back in
And that's all fabric?
That's all fabric, and it's machine appliqued with a very tight satin stitch. And this technique, I ended up, back in the 70s, people wore appliques all over everything. So
but I remember putting them on my jeans.
Yes,
even. Yeah,
and on the
jackets.
jackets.
I may still have those somewhere.
Yeah, and on jackets and everything. But you'll see that this technique here, I've added to it, and along with piecing, which I was going to bring the book that I learned it from, but there are books out to teach you to do bargello, and that's what these two pieces here are bargello.
That's a special name for that design, then?
Well, the piece on the right, I call Overwater Reflections.
I know, it's just what
So
a
in the
lovely
book,
name.
it was called Underwater Reflections. But the fabric that is used in the border on the one on the left was my inspiration for the colors. Oh. So that fabric talked to me, and I gathered all those together, and you make strips, and you sew them all together in a circle, and then they're separated at different points to give you your designs.
Yeah.
Okay. So the
really?
one on the left
oh my goodness.
is if you'll see, it's the same thing. It's a reflection. So it
like a Rorschach.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But I thought these butterflies and dragonflies need to be appliques, and there's a lady Jennifer Whithead, who is also an art fire artisan like I am, on my website, cmhcreations.artfire.com. That's where I market my things. And she did this lot of three-dimensional. So I decided that I wanted the butterflies and the dragonflies to float over the water.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
But
they're
as I was
beautiful.
designing it, my husband's perspective was able to help me see that this butterfly multicolored border on the overwater reflections took away from the activity in there.
Yeah.
And so I
was too
replaced it.
busy,
It
yeah,
was
yeah.
too busy. So I end up with a border and extra strips and a book that tells me how I can design my own little whatever. So this one is called Flight of the Butterfly, and I designed the flow of the strips.
It's
Had
just
to make
beautiful.
a few extra strips and put on more butterflies and whatever.
And
So
how would you use that? You would use that on the wall, right?
they're
That's a wall hanging.
They're wall hangings, a door, whatever. They're just artsy.
Well, I know, but
Crafty.
that's what makes your room, your house warm,
Right.
friendly, and it's. I know that they talk a lot about decluttering where there's nothing in your house. It seems so sterile to me. I gotta have some art on my walls and like nice quilts and things like
My
that.
husband kids me that I can't look at a bare wall. I have to put something on it.
Well, remember the Victorians that covered everything with everything that they could find, so there was not even a bare piece of wall anywhere. They covered everything.
That's
Furniture.
just about where I am.
Oh,
Cover everything.
And I have things there's no room for, so I have to rotate.
rotate. Well,
what's on
rotating
the
is
wall.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are two wonderful fiber artists. If you're interested at all in learning a little bit more about fiber art, I'm sure both of these would be willing to talk to you and perhaps encourage you along those lines. They are represented by Art and Soul. Janet Tangway is certainly involved in trying to help get art out to the public. And she does a fabulous job. So if you're an artist, you might want to check that out as well. Thank you both for being here and bringing your art. It's just absolutely wonderful. And hope you'll stay around for a while and check out. We're going to our chef now.
Good.